Hello and welcome to a video with me, Raindell. And today we are covering the #1 unloved unit in World Division, Macherie. She is considered unplayable by many, or by most actually. And honestly, I think she is the worst you are in terms of design. But nonetheless, we'll take her into Arena as usual and see if we can make her work and actually contribute very well to our team. So let's take a look at her strong points. But first, I just want to say one thing. My primary language is French, and Macherie literally means my dear, as in my dearest, or a person I love. Ma is mine, and then chérie, with the proper accent, means dear. That's such a weird name. Who would name their kid my dear? What the hell? Okay, so putting her naming aside, I would say the #1 reason you might want to build Macherie is because she has the best TMR aside from Xyza's bells. Her TMR gives to the unit that wears it and the 4 squares around it a 30% barrier that locks any type of damage 3 times. That's insane. And on top of that, it heals as much as a Kuraga. So it's a pretty impressive, very strong piece of gear in any kind of manual play. And then the AI can actually use it for the healing bit in Arena. So if you time your team so that they use this instead of other heals, you can also get the barrier on. So it's overall a very strong piece of gear, and it's the reason why many live PvP players have her maxed, because it's just so strong. But let's take a look at the unit herself. So, the specialty of the cleric class, if it has one, is its ability to prevent status effects with Calamity Guard and then heal them. Instead of having the single target Izuna that white mages have, they have Izuna Ga, which is a AoE Izuna. That's really strong for some content. For example, right now with the Marlboro event, she's great. She can just heal almost every status effect back for several team members at once. But for PvP, that doesn't really come in handy very often, because you have only 3 units. If one of them gets CC'd, you're screwed. Even if you can dispel it, it hurts your tempo so much that you might still lose the fight. Then she has the ability to increase light and dark resistance, and that's rather unique. The only drawback though is that this is only available in her cleric subjob. So if you're putting this, you are not running Black Mage. And Black Mage has stronger attacks, longer range attacks, and is really the best way for Macherie to deal damage. Then she has strong light magic attacks. She is actually not weak in terms of magic offense. She doesn't have the super AoE limit burst that Sakura or Mediena has, but she can still use Banishka and deal surprising amounts of damage. So she's not weak in terms of her offense if she gets the chance to cast. And then for a mage unit, she's actually rather durable. She has the auto heal passive that she can use, the counter ability, and she can increase her spirit with one of her master abilities, so she's not that weak against magic. And then when her EX job is released eventually, it really increases her role as a durable mage. She's gonna get extra defense and then abilities that hit enemies, and then increases her tankiness as well. So she's pretty good for that. She does otherwise have the ability to heal a little bit, deal some damage, dispel status effects. She's kind of an all-rounder, but contrary to units like Rosa, who can do everything well, Macherie does not heal very well. She only has access to Cure, so she can either really leverage the status effect healing part or the damage part. And that's, today, we'll be taking her in as a Black Mage because I want to see if she can do damage. And light and dark resistances are interesting for niche builds, but I don't want to go through making very niche things. I want to see if she can be useful in general content a little bit. So without further ado, let's take a look at our team comp for the day. Okay, so for our team comp, these are the 3 people that we'll be running. We're going to be targeting mage teams using High Spirit. Macherie does have some innate spirit, and then Rain can provide us with a lot more with his TMR. And what I want to mention first is I've yet to try this out a lot. So we're going to switch around our starting positions and our TMR between units to try to get the best possible AI. So you'll see sometimes Macherie will be having her own TMR, sometimes she'll have the red jacket, sometimes she might have Rain's TMR, I don't know yet. We'll adjust as we go to try to fight different teams with different startups. So let's take a look at Macherie, and then the other gear and other things will stay the same. With our current build, she has 3600 HP, not great. 29 spirit is pretty good though, so she's going to be taking magic attacks fairly well, although she has high faith as well, so that means she's taking more magic damage from the other side. She has almost 1000 magic, so she can actually ramp up magic attack pretty well. Although we are helping that with a Soul of Tamasa and a Mace, because we're trying to get more attack than not. We're running her own TMR, which means that she's going to have the potential to heal a lot and shield people once. Then we have Diabolos and the Agility Vision card to try to get our team a little bit faster and get more magic attack from Diabolos. Here's what these stats look like overall. Okay slash resistance, okay strike and magic, but she's still weak to a lot of attacks. And then we're weak to dark, which is a very important thing to mention because right now there's Garvall in Arena and a lot of other dark teams. And Garvall is a pretty strong counter against Macherie. Macherie can take Garvall out in 1 to 2 hits, but she has casting time and Garvall attacks instantly, so more often than not, he's going to kill her first. And that's one thing I want to point out as well. Units can be good or worse depending on the meta as well. Right now with Garvall here, there's even less of an incentive to run Macherie than there would be usually. But we're doing the video nonetheless. In her cleric job, we're going to play with Calamity Guard on and off. And the reason for that is it's really good against some teams and really bad against other teams. So if we're fighting Agrias, we'll generally want to have it on. But when Macherie has that ability on, she's not going to move and she's going to keep casting Calamity Guard as long as she has an ally in range that doesn't have it. So she can end up lagging severely behind the rest of our team. So depending on whether we want her to move or not, we'll be turning it on and off. The other abilities are fine, although I did turn off Banish from her main job because for some reason I felt like she would sometimes cast Banish instead of Banishka, and that would lose us battles. I don't want her to use this, so I turned this one off, but she still has the Banish from her Black Mage ability available, so maybe it doesn't change anything, I'm still not sure. And yes, she does have the same ability twice. That just goes to show what kind of unit she is. The rest of her abilities are all good, and then she has Auto Cure, which heals for a surprising amount. She usually heals for 2.2k when she gets hit, so more than half her HP. It's really good. So that's Macherie. Then we have Ellshra, because of two things. First, it gives more light attack and HP to Macherie. Then she's also there to quicken, possibly sending Rain in front and just enabling our team in general. And then she can potentially build light chains and just deal a lot of damage in general. So as long as Rain's taking the hits, Ellshra is a pretty good carry to have on our team. And then last we have Rain, who's going to be our frontliner. He has 20 defense and 54 spirit, which means that with his own TMR, he reaches almost 100 spirit when his buff is active. Nowadays though, we have a lot of magic attackers that have spirit penetration, so it's not as strong as it would have been a couple months ago. It's still more than enough to tank a couple hits though, so we'll see him in action. 5.5k HP, 800 magic, and then these are the stats overall. And since we're running him as a tank, we need him to have the Knight of Grenshield job so he can use Astral Guard and take aggro for the rest of our team, so we really need him to do that. We're also running Ramuh because all our team is magic based, so having more magic in general will be pretty good. And now I realize I forgot to show you the stats from Ellshra, but she has almost 1000 magic, lots of 3.5k HP, not that much, and then really low defenses, so she's the squishiest member of our team. She also lacks resistances. So that's our lineup, and again, we'll switch TMRs and positions around because we need to find the best combination. So that's it, let's find a match. Okay, so our first enemy team is the Warrior of Light, Agrias, and Howlet. I'm pretty happy to be fighting this because they don't have that much damage. Our tank is fire, they have Agrias, and then depending on who Macherie uses Calamity Guard on, we might be able to resist the confusion from Agrias. And then our team is built to have a ton of spirit. So I'm not that scared of Howlet just ripping through my entire team. Now, he does have spirit penetration with his Rude Knight job, but still, Rain is a really efficient and powerful magic attack tank, so I think he will do just fine, hopefully. So there we go, we have the Guardian Spirit buff on everybody. Then their team begins moving towards ours, and that's one thing that we want. Our team does not move very fast forward. They're actually doing things slow and steady, taking the time to cast all the buffs we need them to cast. So now we have the magic shield on Rain. He's basically immune to status effects for a while, and he has the extra spirit. So that should come in handy. Now, I do want to point out that his extra spirit will actually probably wear out pretty soon as he moves into the enemy team, because we've been casting Quicken, and because the enemy Howlet did not move forward at all. But still, it's fine. He's in a position to get attacked by their physical attackers, and that's really all I'm asking. So he takes 2 hits. Now, Howlet begins moving forward. And at that point, we should start seeing some action. Now, I don't like the fact that Macherie does not move at all on our team. So maybe I will turn off Calamity Guard so that she has a little bit more movement. I'm considering this because right now she ends up in a situation where she cannot contribute for a couple turns, and we can't have that. It also means that Rain is going to die from Howlet's attack probably very shortly. So at that point, Rain is still in front with all his buffs, doing a very high amount of damage to the enemy, but the Dragon's Blade counter will take him out. At that point though, it's still 2v1 versus Howlet, but Howlet's going to one-shot Ellshra right there, so can Macherie take him out? That seems difficult, but we'll see. Howlet is not that tanky. Yep, she did not even need a Banish Gas. She just uses plain old Banish for a pretty high amount of damage and takes him out in 1 hit. Alright, pretty okay first fight, but we need an enemy team that moves in faster towards ours. Alright, for this match, we're fighting an enemy Kilphe, Garvall, and Halloween Little Leela. They're all very powerful unit, very dominant units, and we're running an MR, Macherie, and Rain, so let's see how it goes. Again, we're switching our TMRs around to try to find the best starting position and combination. And the issue is getting Macherie near the enemy team early enough and still not having her die in the process. So at that point, I'm not convinced about the way we've set things up, because what's happening is she's going to be ahead of Rain, and then Garvall's just going to one-shot her. So she lined up, actually our entire team lined up for the Garvall's Limit Break, which will probably kill our entire team. But let's see the damage from her Banish. So she hits Garvall for 3900 and almost takes him out. At that point, we really hope that with the Quicken, she's going to move out of the way. But she chooses not to, which means that she's going to get killed. Had she moved to the side after casting, Garvall would still be targeting Rain, and then we would have been able to survive. So at that point, we've seen how hard Macherie can hit. It was a pretty decent hit and almost took him out in 1 go, but it wasn't enough. And then for some reason, she decided to use Banish. Had she used Banish Ga, that would have been a kill. The difference in HP was exactly what she needed. I am thinking of turning off Banish because for some reason, I think she's prioritizing Banish a little bit too often for my liking. So I think that's what I'll do for the next battle. Now, Rain does a pretty decent damage on Garvall, and at that point, it's still a scary matchup, but since they have to take Rain out, we might have a shot. Now, there, Garvall goes down, and it's 1 against 1. So, I'm wondering, can Ellshra deal with Halloween Little Leela? We have the disadvantage of range, we also have the disadvantage of speed, and then the disadvantage of HP, so we lose. Okay, still, Macherie did something there, and she did it pretty well. Okay, Kilphe, Sakura, and Howlet. I like fighting a team like this. I think it's interesting. They're going to be very... they are going to have a lot of damage. Ideally, if we can make it so that Sakura does not use her protection against light, that would be for the best, but her AI is set to cast that basically first, so we'll probably be fighting against this, this buff from their team. Now at that point, since Rain is in first position, Ellshra will prioritize him for quickens, which means that Rain should be moving in front eventually. Seems like he doesn't though, so I'm pretty scared because at that point Macherie will die very shortly. So we're quickening Rain, as I mentioned, but he's just moving in between our characters. And okay, so Ruin Ja, they're actually Green Mage. That's very interesting. So that hit did 2k on Macherie, but she was able to instantly heal it back. Now though, the limit break from Sakura does a ton and almost takes Macherie out. She's going to use her own TMR to heal back and give a shield on herself and Rain, so that's very good. And at that point, we are not doing too bad, except for the fact that we are again grouped for an AoE attack from Kilphe, so we're going to take that hit. But it seems like she decided to do Holy, so I'm very happy about that. Rain can take hits a lot better than Macherie can, even with her shield. So 2600 on Howlet, and now Autocure gets our Macherie back to full again. Rain's down, so it's kind of up to her to carry all the members of our team. I am not sure how that will go, because Kilphe will get to hit us first, but Kilphe's out of AP, and Macherie still has quite a few for herself, so we might be fine. We use Banishka for half of Kilphe's HP, and now Kilphe has enough to cast, but I don't think she can take out Macherie in one hit, because we have the shield from Macherie's TMR. And that 30% reduction here came in clutch. It would have been a kill from Kilphe, but she survives. Now though, a miss from Macherie means that we lose the fight. She lacks in accuracy a little bit. Unfortunate, but Macherie fought pretty hard here. She definitely pulled her weight in our team. Okay, I like this one. 3 mages, so the main question that we're going to be running into here is, can our team encounter theirs while we still have the buff from Rain's TMR on ourselves? And if the answer is yes, well, he's going to have so much spirit that he's basically not going to take damage. But if for some reason they are too slow to move forward, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. And I'm kind of counting here on their Ildyra speeding their team up, because that's what she does, so that they close in very quickly on our team. Like last time, the first thing that happens is we get the extra spirit, we get status immunity for a couple status elements on Rain. Against this specific team that we're fighting, it's not especially useful, but it does keep Macherie backwards. If she did not have this available, she would just start running forward. We could also turn it off and give her a TMR with an ability she can cast, but I want to see if she's going to be using her own TMR to heal Rain, if she can follow him. So that's what we're hoping to see from her. But as it stands, I think for the next battle I'm going to change things out a little bit, because she does not seem to be healing much so far. So now the enemy teams in range, they actually take a lot of damage on on Kilphe, but they have Ildyra, so they can heal back up just fine. Our team has a really high magic, so we do a lot of damage, and that's why we're taking out Mediena in one shot. Now, Banishka, 2.5k on Kilphe, and I think she procced her guard ability, which reduces damage by 30%. So it would have actually been a kill, but since she used her counter ability, it was not. So now Rain moves on and takes the kill. And at that point, we're looking good. They do have Ildyra, who can do a lot of damage, but we should be able to see some healing from Macherie if she gets in range of Rain. So let's see if that happens or if he goes down before. So now Rain begins casting again, and now we see Knight's Blessing, which almost puts Rain back to full life. So the issue is she's not standing close enough to Rain to use it reliably, but when she does use it, it's actually pretty impressive. And now Banish, which means that she would get a kill. No, so I wonder why she did not use Banishka there, because it would have allowed her to kill Ildyra immediately. Alright, so we've seen Macherie in a couple fights. It was very hard to make her work in this map, and I have to say, lacking jump 2 in this specific map is really hard, and it's basically been this map for as long as I've been a YouTuber, aside from a couple weeks where they changed us, and I'm really eager to see it change because the wall limits the amount of the variance between the characters I can use. In these matches, if Macherie had jump 2, she would have been a lot more useful because she would have been able to advance without grouping with Rain. Eventually, we'll probably do another video featuring her in different context. Here though, how did she perform? Well, when the enemy's attacks were not high enough to one-shot her, her auto-cure healed her by a surprisingly high amount. And also, when she got to cast magical attacks, she did pretty well. Does this compare to units like Sakura that have really high AoE and even more damage? No. But she still did a decent job. Still though, would I recommend using her? Not unless you're a big fan and you're looking for a challenge, but I still recommend to build her because her TMR is just that good. So that was it from me today. We've now seen the worst designed UR in the game, and it can only go uphill from here. So that's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It will make it more likely that you see my videos in the future. And then, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.